Now, an appeals court sitting in Port Harcourt has dismissed the appeal of the suspended national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus. Mr. Secondus was trying to secure an interim injunction to stop the PDP from conducting its national convention scheduled to take place in Abuja this weekend. But the three-man panel dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit. That's become something of a cliche. So this decision by the court means that the convention will go ahead on Saturday and Sunday, much to the relief of the party bigwigs and to those charged with organizing the convention. But the PDP still has a lot to deal with, not least major divisions caused by all this to the ranks of the party as well as its leadership. And with a presidential election looming in 2023, not to mention next week's governorship ballot in Anambra State, the threat of what could have been if the verdict had gone the other way would have shaken the confidence of the party to the core.
The Court of Appeal Port Harcourt Division has just delivered a considered ruling where the court has dismissed the application of the applicant, Prince Secondus Uche, to stop the national convention of PDP. Rather, the court has ordered PDP to go ahead with its national convention unhindered, unfettered, and unstopped.
The court agreed that the application was not an abuse of court process, contrary to what they said. However, the court took the view that because of all the arrangements that the party had made, and also all the expenses that they had incurred, that the injunction would not be accepted. So the court has directed that they can continue, that PDP can continue with the National Convention. However, the instruction is the appeal continues, the main appeal continues, and depending on the outcome of the appeal, if the appeal succeeds, then it has the impact on whatever decision that is taken at the National Convention. So it's still not over.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by a member of the Publicity Committee of the PDP's National Convention, Kenny Okolugbo, who's also a member of the PDP's Anambra State Campaign Council, and by Arise political editor and head of news, Sumner, Sambo. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'll come to you first,
It's my
Sumner.
pleasure.
Just to set it up for us, I know you're in Abuja, you were not in court, but you keep across these things. Tell us more about what happened in court today.
Well, it's very simple. Uche Secondus had approached the court after this suit was filed against him, and within the case, he actually wanted what's called an ex parte order or interim injunction restraining the major opposition from going ahead with the National Convention. But he also went ahead to say that he would want the court to grant him the powers to preside over the convention. And so it was contradictory.
It's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was contradictory. And actually, based on the PDP's constitution, he's supposed to be, as the national chairman, the person who will preside over a convention.
But a suspended national chairman.
Yeah, he's been suspended, and not only that, he willingly relinquished his powers to Yemi Akinwumi, the deputy national chairman South, who has been presiding over the affairs of the party in his absence.
So that's a tacit recognition of his suspension.
Yeah, so
basically.
That's why a lot of people are confused with Mr. Secondus' application seeking an interim injunction. Because if he had sent out a press statement saying that he willingly transferred his power because of the challenge that they had in the party then when the deputy national chairman, North, Senator Suleiman, wanted to take over based on the situation then that Yemi Akinwumi, the acting national chairman now, who was the deputy national chairman South, was deemed to be incapacitated then. Quickly, they rushed and brought Yemi Akinwumi to come and stand in and say he is fully healthy and not incapacitated. And if that's the case, so why should Secondus now be asking for this? But on the other way around, if he wasn't suspended and he had not relinquished his powers as a national chairman, he's supposed to preside over this convention. But he was also challenging the other part of the suit that actually says that only the National Executive Committee of the party can suspend a national chairman and not the ward, as it was in his case that he was suspended by his ward. But the court, the High Court in Rivers State, upheld that suspension by the ward of the party, and then the case came to an appeal. So a lot of party figures are happy that the PDP is being tested and it has come out strong. But a lot of people are also not happy with the way political leaders in that party have managed this, because it wasn't Secondus that took the case to court. It was members of the party in his native ward that actually took him to court, suspending him. So he only went to appeal. But during the appeal, he was now seeking an injunction to stop this. And a lot of party leaders have said, look, Mr. Secondus, yeah, we know certain things that happened, but you should have stepped aside in the interest of the party. But he said he wanted justice. Well, has he got the justice now? And as a suspended member, he has lost his rights. So that means he can't even come to the convention in Abuja.
That's an extraordinary development. Let's bring you in, Kenny Okolugbo. You are, of course, a member of the PDP's the committee in charge of that national convention. What's your reaction to this?
You know, he practically, pulled the rug off my feet. He has broken it down the way it is. But you see, looking at it holistically, a lot of us are being disappointed. Secondus didn't act in good faith, because what did he want to achieve? You willingly relinquished power to Yemi Akiwumi. You made it clear, you handed over, everybody saw you hand over to him, and then you had relinquished your powers. That means you had accepted the suspension, because you can't be appropriating and reprobating at the same time. If you relinquished power, why then do you want to stop this convention? And being someone who had risen from the ranks, Secondus has been a state chairman of the party. He has been a national organizing secretary of the party. He's been an acting national chairman. He's been a national chair. He's been the national chairman, or now until he's been suspended. I mean, you should have the interest of the party, no matter how bitter, no matter how you feel that you have been done. I mean, it's been unjust, whatever you perceive. If you have the interest of the party at heart, you can't be asking that.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to have the interest of the party at heart.
No matter how difficult it is, Charles, if you actually look at it again, Secondus has a whole, how many, 24 members of the National Working Committee? I mean, not even one of them is with him. That leaves a lot to be desired. If he actually thought his case was very strong, he would have had at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 National Working Committee members standing with him in this court case. Now they are all working with us towards the convention. I can tell you, I just left a meeting chaired by my governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, and that's the accreditation committee, and the national organizing secretary was there. I was the national publicity secretary yesterday. We went for another program, and so all those are national working committee members, and they are not only in top gear, they are in high spirit to make sure that tomorrow's convention is successful.
Right.
So that's the perspective I actually wanted to look at it from.
Right. Let me just mention that you mentioned your governor of Delta State. You were, of course, a commissioner as well.
Yes.
In Delta State. But we were talking about this before we came on air. How disruptive would it have been to the PDP if the court's decision had gone the other way?
It would have been most unfair.
It would have been a disaster, wouldn't it?
I mean, consider everybody is in Abuja already. We all know what it cost us for flight tickets. We all know what hotel accommodation is, and the logistic that has been put in place. All that would have been, he would have gotten to the wins. And that's why we said, if Secondus had a strong case, he would have also been a party man if he was really in the genuine interest of the party. And you're one man standing. At this point, when you talk about division in the program, I really don't see where the division is coming from at this point. If we saw those who are, there might be faceless people behind Secondus, we are not aware. But everybody you can think of, the 13 governors are together, the whole National Working Committee together, the Board of Trustees are together.
You mean in this particular instance?
Yes.
But that's not everything. That's part of the problem, is it?
But Secondus is standing alone, so I don't see where the division
but Secondus is just one issue. Let me bring in Arise political editor Sumner Sambo there. Is there a big division in the party, or is that just something that's being created by the media?
Charles, there's a division in the party, in the sense that the same political party that gave itself its own rules actually violated its own rules by upholding that suspension in the ward, because Section 59, subsection 3 of the PDP Constitution clearly states that it's only the National Executive Committee that can suspend a National Working Committee member, that's members at the national level, and either the president or vice president or senate president or speaker of the House of Rep, and goes on if the party is in power. So now, why will the party initially agree to uphold the suspension of its national chairman by the word?
No,
that's where that challenge actually comes from. And they actually went to court and took him to court.
Yes.
So they took him to court. But where Secondus actually made a mistake was for him to have actually brought out a statement saying that Yemi Akinwumi should act on his behalf. So by bringing that statement, he actually agreed to his suspension by the word.
He acquiesced.
So you see, we are,
he's
a lot of founding members of the party are unhappy that that provision was allowed, because it means tomorrow, if the party has a president, the ward at the local government level can just sit down and push away the president, the sitting president, who's a member of the party, from the party.
Let me just give him a chance. We've got a minute.
Yeah,
so
I'm not a member of the National
short.
Executive Committee of my party. But what the NEC did was that they said they did not want to interfere with the court process. Don't forget that the court process, they had already taken the decision. They were already in court. And so what happened, that's what I'm trying to correct. They did not uphold. It's different. It's wrong to say they upheld. They did not uphold the suspension. They said in the face of the fact that the court has taken this decision, we had no other option but to deal with Akinwumi. There's a difference between saying that the NEC said they're upholding. NEC has no power to uphold what the court has said, has already taken a decision on. The court has spoken. The court has said that Secondus was suspended, and NEC was acting based on what the court had done.
Okay, please stay with us. We're going to come back in a minute and continue this very interesting chat. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our discussions about the PDP convention, a crisis averted, and the cracks that may have appeared as a result. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Onyegolu. Now, Nigeria's main opposition, People's Democratic Party, has managed to avert a titanic political disaster. An appeals court in Port Harcourt has dismissed an application by the suspended chairman of the party, Uche Secondus, and has ruled in favor of holding the PDP's national convention this weekend. But as the party's bigwigs revel in the thrill of victory, there are warnings that it could be short-lived, given that there are still many discordant notes in a party beset with problems that run far deeper and wider. The PDP, of course, facing off against other major parties in a crucial governorship election in Anambra State next week, a ballot that is aflame with the challenge of separatist insecurity and potentially the usual barroom brawl that often accompanies elections in this country. And Kenny Okolugbo, who's a member of the PDP's National Convention Committee, as well as a member of the PDP's Anambra State Campaign Council, is still with me in the studio, as is Arise political editor and head of news, Sumner Sambo. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. And you were completing a thought before we went on break.
Yes, well, what I was actually trying to say was that the NEC didn't uphold the suspension of Secondus. They were thrown with a situation, a very unusual situation, where the court has suspended Secondus and he had willingly and voluntarily relinquished his power, according to our constitution, to Akinwumi, who was the deputy national chairman, from his own zone. So moving forward here, the party does not want to be distracted. If you notice what we are doing, tomorrow you're going to see the whole place agog. You're going to see that what our team says, let's rescue Nigeria together. That is our team for the convention. What we are basically trying to do is we're creating an alternative. We're the alternative party. But now we're telling Nigerians that we have created an alternative platform. And tomorrow begins the process of what you will see in terms of the presidential election that will follow after then, and eventually the eventual contest that will give us the ultimate prize of our presidential candidate.
Right, I wanted to ask you,
which is the prime target.
Right, as a member of that organizing committee, for the benefit of all members of our audience who may not know, what's the formal purpose of the PDP's convention and what can we expect to happen?
Yes, I'll just give you our team. Let's rescue Nigeria together. Now we already know that we have a consensus candidate who is Senator Yochayo, who is going to emerge as the chairman on the 31st, which will be wee hours of the Sunday morning. There are a few positions that are still in contention, just about one or two. Almost every other position out of the 24 membership committee of the NWC it's been it's been by consensus.
So
that tells you, that tells you
right.
how PDP is. The PDP is a very unique party. For us to have been able to resolve about 22 of our, or 21 of our, of seats being contested by way of consensus. So I probably think the elections tomorrow will just be about 2 positions, which might be the Deputy National Chairman Southwest and the youth leader of the party. That might most likely be the 2 positions
right.
that they'll be voting for tomorrow.
Okay, well, Sumner, you are across developments in not just that party, but across the political spectrum in this country, and you get a sort of 360-degree view of what is going on. Is it going to be hard for the many factions in the PDP to be reconciled enough to win public support? I mean, they're going into a governorship election in Anambra State, and subsequently there are going to be other governorship elections, and then the big one, the presidential ballot.
Well, I would like to start by saying that it's good to actually sound very optimistic, like Ken is saying here, about all the issues happening in the party. But I'd like to let you know that some of the problems are just starting, because I mean, during the week we had one of the party members actually going to court to say that he's from the North Central and the national chairman position was zoned to the North Central. He went to purchase forms to contest, and he was disallowed that only one form was printed for the consensus candidate. And in the eyes of the law, everyone within that zone is meant to contest. So there's a court case right now at the Federal High Court, which he didn't mention, which may be said even the party after the convention, because as a member of the party from that region, that gentleman is entitled to actually buy a form and contest. Absolutely. But what the PDP doesn't want is a contest on the day of the convention. Well, for the party to have been able to get to this level of holding this convention is actually a plus for it, considering all the different positions that had taken place, and considering that even Uche Secondos had the right to actually contest until the zoning was actually brought in place, and the zoning was done by Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi committee, which actually said that those positions being held by the North should be swapped with the South, and those being held by the South should be swapped to the North. Now, in all of this, you won't see any implosion in the PDP now until the presidential primaries, the special national convention that will be held towards either next year, mid next year, or early 2023 to actually bring out a presidential candidate for the party. Because as it stands right now, there's this dispute of zoning. The Northerners, who were, a majority of them were backing Secondos to actually retain that position, were doing so because they wanted the chairmanship to be retained in the South, so that the North would have an opportunity. Because if you look at it from 1999 till date, the PDP has had how many positions? 1999 it went to the South. 2003 that presidential ticket went to the South again. In 2007 it went to the North. In 2011 it went to the South again. In 2015 it went to the South again. In 2019 it went to the North. So if you look at it, 6 positions here, the South has had 4 of their presidential tickets, while the Northerners have had 2. So the Northerners are saying that in the face of equality, they should be given equal opportunity to produce a presidential candidate in 2023. But the mood of the nation is that if President Buhari has completed 8 years, then the south of the country, based on rotational presidency. So the real implosion is going to happen in the PDP during the presidential
that'll be something
contest,
that'll be something to watch. But let me just bring you in, Kenny, because we've got about less than 3 minutes left for the chat. You're on the council, the campaign council of Anambra State. Yes. How do you rate the chances of the PDP based on what you're saying? I mean, predictable what you're going to say.
You know, without being biased here, we have actually, the candidate of the PDP, Valentine Ozigbo, has actually toured 19 out of the 21 local governments. When I mean tour, it's not just touring. He's touring with veterans, that is the leader of the party like Peter Obi, the likes of Uche Kunife, members of the House of Reps, members of the House of Assembly, and a whole lot of others who believe in the PDP. And you know what is the most amazing aspect is the turnout of voters, will be voters. People that you're telling to sit at home on Saturday are coming out in their numbers. They have also gone to the main market. Normally, he's been the only candidate that has gone to the main market, the head bridge. These are facts. Facts are sacred. And in fact, on record now, he has campaigned more than ABGA, the ruling party in the state. And we haven't seen any sign of the APC. The funny thing is that APC is not even campaigning. And they say it's a contest between the three parties. And I don't think the APC should be saying they stand a chance in Saturday's election. Our opponent is ABGA. And I believe if the bimodal system is going to be used, which is what was used in Isoko South, where if your card reader doesn't recognize your thumbprint, it can recognize your facial features, certainly PDP is going to win that election. And that is the same system that INEC has assured us are going to use in the 21 local governments. And interestingly, INEC has published all the list of this amount of the number of agents that have been submitted to them. So INEC has shown that they are ready for this election. And the only party that has shown strength so far in the midst of the security situation has been the PDP.
Okay, we've got less than a minute left.
Yes.
Are you worried about IPOB? You talked about
yes,
your candidate
of course,
but he's not going out on stay-at-home days.
Of course, we are worried about IPOB, and that was why a lot of us condemned the statement of the Minister of Justice when he had that press conference after Nnamdi Kanu had been arraigned. But the thing about it is that IPOB, if the message we're trying to pass across to IPOB is the only way you can get the APC government to sit on its toes is to allow us send a strong message in Anambra by making sure that PDP government wins in Anambra, and that will be a stepping stone. And don't forget that
we'll have to watch
in 2019,
I'm really sorry,
we won the election by 93%.
Right, I've got to jump in there.
Yes.
Kenny Okolugbo, who's a member of the PDP's National Convention Committee, as well as the PDP's Anambra State Campaign Council, and of course Sumner Sambo, Arise political editor and head of news. Thank you very much indeed.